Hey, YouTube, what is up? Like I said earlier in the video, I didn't know if I was going to go live or not in the afternoon. Not able to go live, but I do have time to record a video and probably two. Really quick here. So, what I want to get into today is actually, if you haven't noticed on the channel, I'm trying to diversify out of just music. Don't get me wrong, we still do a lot of music. If you got any music recs, drop them. But I'm trying to get into just interesting videos in general. I think that's a good. I think that's a good call. Good call on that one. You know what I mean? But right now we're about to check out some historical myths that turned out to be true from the dog. From trust me, bro, I've never seen a video from him before. So honestly, we gonna see if we gonna give the subscriber not off the one. No, but for real, go check out the original video always if you want to listen to it without me pausing and like possibly skipping through part. You know what I mean? Like, don't get in the comments being like, you pause too much. Just watch the original video. It'll be linked in the comments and shit. You know the vibes. But, I mean, I just started doing the linking in the comments, to be honest. I've been super lazy about it. But I'm going to start actually doing that. With music videos, it doesn't feel like it needs to be done as much. You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, you can see fucking what music video it is. With regular videos, it's like, I should probably link it, because there's probably like a million videos that are like historical myths. You know what I mean? But, let me stop yapping. Hit the bong so we can get into this.
Historical myths that turned out to be
Let's get right into it. Sorry.
true. Viking soul swords. Despite what movies and video games may lead you to believe, we all know that defeating your enemies with a sword will not inherently make your sword stronger.
Okay, bro. What? How is Viking soul swords a myth? I've never heard of a Viking soul sword myth, bro. Hold on. I'm assuming there's gonna be things like I probably haven't heard of before, but like Viking soul sword. Like, I'm just kind of stuck on who's going around being like, this is the tale of the Viking soul sword. Like, what the fuck? What are we talking about?
Or will it? Hey, bro sauce. Brody here. And in today's video, we're discussing soul swords. Okay, fake beard and glasses aside, let's discuss what's going on here. For starters, the term soul swords is not historic or scientific. It's just a word I'm using to describe the phenomenon at play.
So you just named it soul swords? That wasn't it, bro. I'm not gonna lie. When it came to soul swords, I feel like we could have came up with a way better name on this one.
Regardless, back in the early Iron Age in Scandinavia, right before the age of the Vikings, Scandinavian warriors had one big issue. Their weapons sucked, specifically the iron ones. And the biggest reason for that was because during this early...
It's because they needed to get diamonds. Everybody knows, once you get an iron sword, it's only got so much durability, so you really need to make an iron pickaxe so you can go get diamonds. Like, obviously, that's the problem here. They just kept getting iron swords when they should have been making iron pickaxes so they can get diamonds for diamond swords. Like, come on.
Iron era, a majority of the iron collected by the Scandinavians...
See, exactly. You see that? He's got the iron ingots. You need to up that, bro. You need to get the diamonds.
...was bog iron. Bog iron is formed by bacteria in bogs that is oxidizing trace amounts of iron to gain energy. And in doing so, it would naturally concentrate the iron. And this concentration would actually allow it to be collected and then later smith. Now,
so some weak-ass iron. It's some river iron. It ain't no real cave diving iron. It's some weak-ass iron. But on some real shit, though, I would imagine iron found like on riversides collected like that is much weaker than like if you genuinely went into a mine and mined iron.
for me, this is super interesting because I had no idea that there was an organic way of farming iron without mining it. But for the Scandinavians, it wasn't so interesting or...
I mean, what did you think, though? Like, did you think some primitive ass nigga was going here with a stone pickaxe, legit strip mining? Like, what did you believe we were getting iron from?
or even beneficial. And that's because while bog iron was convenient, it was not strong. Bog iron, unsurprisingly, is very impure, and for that reason,
Called it.
soft when forged, meaning that the Scandinavians definitely had a disadvantage in battle. And the Scandinavians definitely weren't strangers to battle, but that's a different story. Now, the Scandinavians knew that there was a serious issue with their metal, but they didn't have a solution until they realized
They needed to get diamonds. What is so hard about that?
realized that they were not using one of their most plentiful resources, the body of their enemies. And that's not a joke. Scandinavian blacksmiths theorized that potentially incorporating the bones of their dead enemies or any...
Oh. Okay. I get it now. It's soul swords because they're stored with chip and they just take a bone from somebody else and be like, this works. What the fuck?
dead person for that matter, could potentially transfer the spirit of that dead individual into that blade, causing it to be stronger and more durable. And this is where things get a bit interesting.
So it's just because the bones were literally stronger than the fucking iron was, bro? Like...
Because during the Scandinavian Viking time, they very much so believed that this process was in fact strengthening their swords. However, as history went on, there was a large gap of time between then and now where people simply believed that this was more of a folktale or potentially symbolic, and not really any true benefit to the sword. But interestingly, in recent years...
I feel like, I don't know how that becomes a folktale. I'd believe the fuck out of that. Someone told me Vikings used to put bones of their enemies in their sword. Like, that just sounds like some real shit.
It was actually discovered that no, the Vikings were onto something, although not in the way that they intended. You see, while the Scandinavian...
Wait, so what's the myth? Is the myth that they even did it, or is the myth that it made the sword stronger?
And Vikings were using the bones of their enemies, ancestors, and animals to spiritually fuse them to their swords to increase its power. In reality, what they were doing was actually creating a rudimentary form of steel. And the reason for this is because the bones that they were using contained carbon. Like all organic matter, carbon is present. And bones...
Okay, yeah, so I mean... What is the myth here? I'm confused. Did people not believe that Vikings used to put bones on the sword? Like, what is the myth? That's where I'm kind of lost here. Obviously, what's not true, like, their spirits weren't actually going into the sword. So, like, that myth wasn't true. Like, I don't know. I feel like with modern science, like, with my I have a high school level education, bro. And I could pretty much put together, yeah, you kind of smash a bone into the sword. It's probably going to, like, meld together in some kind of way. I don't know that it was going to be steel exactly, but... You know, if it happened one time and the sword felt stronger, I would assume it would happen again, you know, on some caveman shit. Oh, I hit the coconut with the rock and it opened. Like, probably the next coconut I hit with a rock is gonna open. Shocker. I don't know, bro.
There are no exception for that rule, which is why when bones were introduced into the forging...
It's an interesting video so far, though. Don't get me wrong. I like the way he talks, but this one feels like no shit. Like, what is the myth here that's being busted? Because the ancestors aren't really in the sword.
Process of these swords and weapons.
Now, if you summon a ghost in front of me right now, and he was like, yeah, actually, I was fighting in that bitch, I'd be like, okay. Nah, myth busted. Myth proven. Fact. Fact or fiction? Fact.
Bog iron was literally being turned into an organic alloy due to this introduction of bones, which, in a morbid way, is kind of badass. But yeah, I wanted to put this entry first because I thought the timeline was so funny. The Scandinavians and Vikings had a very...
I'm not gonna lie, I'm skipping past the rest of this part. You know what I mean? It's cool and all, but that one didn't feel like it was really like a myth. You know what I mean? Like, there's not like a myth being proven. It's just like, yeah, they were accidentally making steel, and their solution to that, because they didn't have science, where they were like, well, it must be some form of god or ghost or something like that's, you know, it's the god of the gaps kind of thing. Like, when you don't know something, like when people don't know the explanation for something, they chalk it up to magic or god or something of that. Like when... You know, it's just a lack of knowledge. I'm not saying that I don't believe in God or anything, but I'm saying in this scenario, it's just a lack of knowledge of their reasoning why it worked. But they knew the sword was getting stronger. Obviously, like, you use the sword, put the bone in it, and it was stronger. You know, there's physical proof. They just didn't know why that was happening.
Started. So let's move on. Okay, really quickly, I wanted to mention today's video sponsor, War Thunder. Take shit. And thank you.
No offense, War Thunder, but I don't give a fuck.
Thank you, War Thunder, for sponsoring this video. Gladiator versus...
Thanks, War Thunder.
There's honestly so much cool stuff to discuss when you're talking about gladiators. But when it comes...
Okay, wait. Did people think gladiators didn't actually fight lions? Bro, okay, let me tell you a wild story. Crazy story, bro. It's a little short. But I had an Uncle Justin that I grew up with. He's only, like, I want to say 4 years older than me if I'm being accurate, right? So he was in high school when I was like 12. He was like a senior in high school ish. No, I think he was a junior at the time. And he had an open house at his high school and my mom was his guardian at the time because my grandma Allen, his mom, lived down south. I don't know the exact reason. I was a kid. You know, I think it was some family drama, but I don't actually know. So we go to this open house, and I'm there with my mom, my uncle Justin, and it's like downtown kind of school. Like, it's a city school. You know what I mean? I don't know if, depending on the area you're in, if you really know, but it's a little rundown. You know what I mean? And, you know, there's some things that you look around and you're like, that seems like a maintenance, you know, safety hazard, but it's still chill vibes. Chill vibes. A lot of cool people. You know, a lot of people that are dedicated to teaching at those kind of schools. But he introduced me to this one woman, and she was a bald, tall woman, bald, very strong. You could tell because I shook her hand. Very strong grip. She was skinny, right? Like, she looked very athletic. And my uncle Justin, we talked to her. My mom talks to her. That I'm not really paying attention. I think I had my like DS or an iPhone with me or something. And I was just playing on that. And then I walk in. My uncle just pulls me and he goes, David, look at that picture over there. I look at a picture, and it's her in an African tribe. He goes, David, ask her about the lion. And I go, and I'm confused, but me and my uncle Justin had a relationship. Like, we were like two peas in a pod. He was kind of like my older brother at the time. So I was like, what do you know about lions? She proceeds to tell me a graphic, mind you, I'm like 12, a graphic story about how she personally killed a lion with her bare hands when she was still in Africa. Like, she grew up in Africa, and at one point she had to kill a lioness, I think it was a lioness, with her bare hands. And it was like real shit, like she had proof, fact, like there was pictures, like it was crazy. She didn't show me the pictures. My uncle Justin told me, she was like, she's shown us the pictures. Like, dog, she really fought a lion. So I that's 100% believable. If she could do it with her bare hands, gladiators can fight a lion with a sword. Facts.
When it comes to historical myths, one of the most prevalent was the fact or myth that they never actually fought.
And mind you, she did all this and then still just came to America and decided to be a school teacher at a city school. Like, that's just insanity. That's like, they talk about dad lore, that's max to your mom lore. She killed a lion with her bare hands. Actually, I wouldn't want her to be my mom. I'd low-key be fucking scared. I don't know.
Animals.
Should ask my Uncle Justin about that. You know, at some point, see if like the class was strict or something. Bro, I mean, it had to be, bro. There's no way you fuck, bro. You killed a lion. You no way you fuck around, bro.
The whole gladiatorial games is a rabbit hole in itself, simply because there was so much variety in the types of games that were happening. Some more unfair than others, and some didn't even involve gladiators in the first place. For example, in the Roman Colosseum, it wasn't necessarily uncommon for criminals to be subject not to death, but to a fight in the Colosseum against another criminal to the death. Meaning that while it wasn't a death sentence, there was a likely chance that you would die. On top of this,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm going in that shit, I'm looking at that nigga, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have to beat your ass. First thing I'm doing, dead ass, first thing I'm doing, I'm gonna be low key about it. I'm gonna like get down close to the ground, act like I'm surveilling out, grab some sand, pocket it. I'm gonna pocket the fucking sand. If I don't got pockets, I'm gonna just clutch that motherfucking sand like crazy. One, cause it's kind of like the same concept. If you have a lighter and you put it in your fist and you punch something, you're gonna hit harder, cause it's gonna be like you hit. It's going to be just a more solid surface that it's connected to, right? So I'm going to try to do that same concept with the sand, hold it in my hand, bro. And then, second he really thinks he's got one of me, sand in that face. I'm beating this shit in. First chance I get to go for the eyes, taking them out. Second, bro, that's what I'm doing. I'm just saying, me as a gladiator, I'm winning that fight. No bullshit.
Ancient version of bum fights, there was also literal naval battles that would take place in the Colosseum. Yeah, they would literally flood the place and have boats in there, which is just...
Which that is impressive as fuck. Honestly, if you look into like the aqueduct system of the Colosseum, like way ahead of its time. It's crazy.
Badass. And in other cases, they would have a criminal not fight another criminal, but fight a professional gladiator, which in that case was definitely a death sentence. And as we all know, gladiators also fought gladiators. But as some of you might not...
A criminal fighting a professional gladiator? I'm going in with the same kind of mindset, though. Like, I have to just be a dog about it. It's sand in the hands. That's sand in the hands. That's my main strategy. Sand, and then when you get off guard, pocket sand in the fucking face. Say, hey, if he's got a mask on, I'm going for his balls. Something's going to be exposed that I'm going to get at, and I'm going to get it bad. To the point where he's going to be fucked up.
No, gladiators didn't always fight to the death. And it's been proven historically that professional gladiators were of high value to their investors. And while the fights were brutal,
Oh, fuck that. I'm going in as a gladiator. I'm going in to kill. I'm going in with the mindset like I gotta kill this nigga, bro.
typically gladiatorial battles only had a 10 to 20% fatality rate, which is still insane, but that statistic is more
Still
like
a lot.
the now modern day knockout rate in the UFC. Likely the
Well, when you put it like that. when you put it like that, suddenly. It seems way more realistic again.
modern day equivalent of the
Yeah, I wouldn't get knocked the fuck out. Let's be for real. I wouldn't let myself get knocked the fuck out. Every nigga that's ever gotten knocked out has said that. I wouldn't let myself get knocked out.
Roman Colosseum. Now, this is where things take a turn, because while all of the different types of battles that happened at the Colosseum were historically provable through artifacts and records, there was one sort of battle that was not proven until recently, and that was battles of gladiators fighting tigers. Now, this is interesting because
That's kind of crazy though, bro. A tiger's different. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, that teacher fought a lioness, and that's, thinking about it today, just think about the weight of a lioness, probably was a younger one, like, that seems realistic. A tiger, though? Them bitches can be like 600 to 800 pounds, bro. Like, that's really some work. Bro, a fucking tiger. Like, bro, I just was watching Baki recently, and they had that nigga Pickle, bro. And the only thing they could feed him was a Siberian tiger, bro. And obviously, Baki's gonna make it look more beefed out than usual. But that shit looked vicious, my nigga. Like, bro, tiger really, like, that's some shit right there. I ain't gonna lie. Because a tiger, at that point, you can't let it hit you. I think, honestly, on some real shit, you could take a hit from a lion, right? And if you get hit the right way, you just get, like, sliced on the arm. It's gonna fuck your arm up, but you can still function. You get batted at by a tiger, that nigga might break your arm, break your ribs in one hit. I ain't gonna lie, you gotta be smart about that shit. And they got the fucking pictures up like that, the lions on top of them and shit. One, if the tiger's on top of my shield like that, I'm stabbing that motherfucker so fast, like dead in the face. I'm just, you dead as fuck if you in that position with me. If I got a shield, you right, yeah, you dead as fuck. But like, bro, you gotta be a monstrous nigga to really take on a tiger, though. I can't lie.
has long been
Hey, I'm not saying if I was put in there, I wouldn't go out there like a dog. Sand in the fucking hands. If I can't have weapons, sand in the hands against the tiger, bro. Boom! Right in the tiger's face. I'm gonna grapple it, get on his back. Like, what you gonna do now, four-legged bitch? Choke it out.
records and specifically artworks found of gladiators depicted fighting big cats, specifically lions or tigers. But interestingly,
see, a lion also feels kind of realistic. A tiger feels crazy. Like, a tiger feels crazy, bro.
there was never any historical evidence.
Then again, I feel like a lot of the reason tiger's scary, though, is the terrain. So if, like, you took the tiger, bro, that means niggas had to be out there capturing tigers, though. Like, who was the first nigga that was out there? It was like, yo, we gonna capture tigers. Like, you think they had, like, a squad of niggas that was like, we the tiger capturers, bro? We just be capturing tigers? You think they bred them bitches? Back in the day, they just was breeding tigers for shit like this? Nah, that's some crazy shit now I think about it, bro. Someone had to catch the tiger. And then on top of that, low-key, you don't want the tiger to die in the ring at that point. Because it's like, now I gotta go catch a whole nother fucking tiger, bro. Like, it's an issue if the tiger dies.
Found of these matches actually happened, which is why, for that reason, it was theorized that
it was probably shipped. I forget, back then they did have like cross ocean trading, so it was probably like shipped from another country. But even that's still a bitch. It's like, now I gotta get a whole nother tiger shipped in, bro.
these artworks were more or less symbolic, showing the strength and the fearlessness of these gladiators, rather than them actually fighting lions and tigers, because, well, how would you even do that in the first place? But when you remember that you're discussing people that literally fit boats into the Colosseum, it's not hard to imagine they would find a way to...
Yeah, to be fair, if they figured out a way to flood that bitch, they figured out a way to do anything. Anything they drew that they did in there, they probably did that shit. I ain't gonna lie. Because they wanted to do everything. They were like, fuck it, we gonna do whatever in that bitch. We need the Colosseum. Honestly, I think to this day, I'd stand on this. I really think we should refurbish the Colosseum and use it for the Olympics. I genuinely think that is the right thing to do with the Colosseum right now. No bullshit. Because if we just refurbish the Coliseum and use it for the Olympics, like, because at the moment the Coliseum is falling apart and like basically only is bad for Rome. Like it's tourist, yeah, but like you can't really like live around the Coliseum. You can't like it's just like taking up space. So genuinely, I think if we refurbish the Coliseum and just use it for the Olympics, that'd be so fire, and it'd be just such a, like a, it'd be like a, I don't know. To me, it'd feel like a crazy feat for humanity. Like this is the Coliseum. Like we've kept it up for hundreds of years, and we've used it for competition for hundreds of years. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like that'd be like the coolest thing to do with the Coliseum at the moment. Because at this rate, it's just gonna fall apart, and we're just not gonna use it for shit.
Tiger.
And I get that it's small, so obviously not everything could be done in the Coliseum, but there's definitely some things that we could do at the Coliseum. Some things we could figure it out in the Coliseum, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Or if we're refurbishing it, we could low-key expand it if we really wanted to.
Is involved as well. Although I guess that
I get that there's a lot of people that are gonna be like, no, because they want to see it in its like original state and all that, but like sometimes you just gotta think about like humanity as a whole. Like one day it's going to fall no matter what, or we could refurbish it and use it type shit.
thought wasn't in the mind of historians and archaeologists at the time, because while I'm sure they thought it was possible, they had no evidence to back up this claim. That was until recently. And when I say recently, like I mean recently. The first article published proving the existence of human bones with animal bite marks in the Colosseum was published in 2025.
Okay, but like that doesn't necessarily prove that they got those in the Colosseum. You could have got them outside of the Colosseum, and then I don't know. Maybe they can timeline it, like to figure out that's how they died or whatever.
Article, it is stated that these bones were collected in the early 2000s. Unsurprisingly, the publishing of this article was significant because for the first time ever, we had genuine proof of animals fighting gladiators in the Colosseum, which is kind of surprising considering how much art.
I didn't need proof more than the art, though. Like, this is another one. Like, I didn't need more proof than the art, just because, like, it doesn't seem unbelievable that they would do this. Like, people being like, how would they do it? Like, they shipped animals across the ocean all the fucking time for no reason, just on bullshit because they wanted to. So it's like, this isn't the most insane thing.
There was depicting it, but I guess if this was so rare and so special back then,
I'm cool with going on to the next one. There's only a couple things left. What's the next one? Gorillas? Just gorillas in general are a myth.
Myth, actually fact. The mythical gorilla.
Just the mythical gorilla.
That was tall, hairy, muscular, and had big teeth. What would you
a gorilla? I would describe a gorilla.
assume I was talking about? Maybe Bigfoot? Maybe Sasquatch? Maybe even a woolly mammoth? But what if I were to tell you that the mythical creature I was describing was actually a gorilla? That's right. Up until surprisingly recently, the concept of a gorilla in the Western world was not something of fact, and it was believed that story.
How far back are we saying that people didn't believe in gorillas? Because for at least the last 100, 150, shit, I would venture to say 200 years, we for sure have known gorillas are a thing.
Of gorillas were folk tales describing some sort of mythical creature. And while gorillas
what do you mean? No, I need to know when he's talking about.
Are definitely mythical in their own regard. They themselves also prove that sometimes fact is stranger than fiction. Let me explain. Now, it's important to note that gorillas obviously were known to people who lived around them. Anybody who lived in the area where gorillas were native were not shocked by them existing. They were simply a creature in their habitat. They were neighbors, essentially.
Okay.
Although, in the Western world, gorillas were something that could not even be fathomed, which is...
Why? Like, when, though? You're making it seem like when America was created, they were like, yo, I'm not sure if we got gorillas for real. Like, are we dead ass? Like, you're telling me they were really like, I'm not sure about gorillas. I don't believe that, to be honest. Like, when did we, like, officially, like, this is what I want to know. When did we officially, were like, okay, yeah, gorillas are a thing.
Once again, why?
But, like, but I feel like we were always like, yeah, gorillas are a thing. There was just a bunch of dumbasses that were like, I don't know, maybe not.
They were presumed to be mythical rather than potentially something unseen. One of the earliest recorded accounts of somebody from the Western world describing a gorilla come from an English traveler named Andrew Battle. He lived from 1565.
See, okay, this is what I mean, bro. See, I've been waiting for him to state a year. 1565 to 1614. Really? 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 The Native Americans didn't know gorillas. Okay, yeah, shocker, there was none here. But the gorillas weren't a myth. Oh, I'm skipping this one. Because gorillas weren't a myth. Like, that's fucking stupid. That's just the same thing as, like, when there was, like the conversion from Earth is flat to Earth is round. It was just, like, the people that were educated for a long time knew the Earth was round. There was just a bunch of dumbasses, because the majority of people weren't educated, that thought the Earth was flat, because if you don't know anything, you'd assume eventually there's an edge. Let's just be for real. I don't know. Let's listen to the Golden Fleece. The gorilla one is stupid. That was dumb.
Greek mythology undoubtedly has some of the
No offense, but I get. Plus, it looks like it was like one of the longest segments of him just talking about gorillas. Like, bruh.
coolest imagery and lore when it comes to, well, mythology. However, not all of this mythology is all myth, and some of it actually has genuine roots in history. One notable story from Greek mythology describes something known as the Golden Fleece. It is a legendary artifact that essentially came from a divine flying golden ram, and this ram was essentially
I feel like I've heard of this. It's starting to come back to me.
a symbol of divine favor and kingship. Now, within the story of the Golden Fleece, there is a man named Jason. He was on a quest to claim his rightful throne, and in this pursuit, he made it his mission to retrieve this Golden Fleece of this mythic, mysterious.
I feel like this is a very poor retelling of the story, but I'm just let him rock. Let him rock.
And, well, divine ram. And long story short, not to spoil it, but he slays the impossible to slay dragon and retrieves the Golden Fleece. The story is obviously more detailed than that, but I'm just giving a trust me bro summary.
Okay, fair enough. I'll trust you.
Separate
I'll trust you.
from fiction. In the story, Jason travels to a city called Colchis, which is in modern-day Georgia, which is a relevant fact. And while Jason may have never existed, and while the whole golden ram may have also never existed, and I can pretty confidently say there probably wasn't a dragon around either, there is one thing that is very likely a real artifact. That
Well, which so you just said all parts of the myth aren't real. Which part of it are we about to say is real?
being the Golden Fleece.
Is real. Hey, whoa, not around here. Not around here.
And the reason I say this is because in Georgia specifically, the location where the story took place, it is not
So the fleece actually exists?
uncommon for gold deposits to wash downstream from mountains in certain waterways. But of course, that's not all. On top of gold, literally.
Okay, so, I mean, you'll probably say this, but my guess is that there was literally a fleece that was like lined with gold or whatever, and like some king or rich guy that had it wanted to create some like story around it, so he paid some guy to like then write a crazy thing. The fleece is magical and blah 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 blah, and it just got passed down throughout like fucking history or whatever.
Just washing down the river, there is evidence to suggest
That's a great propaganda run. That's got to be like high tier, like I'd say top 25 propaganda of all time if you did that, and to this day, so there's a myth about it. Keep it real.
that farmers at the time who lived in these regions would use sheepskins from their animals to collect these gold nuggets heading downstream, doing essentially an early version of gold prospecting. But this
Okay, so I guessed wrong as fuck. They would just use the fleeces to get golden fleece. Okay, fair enough. I got you. Okay, I'm getting it. I'm
This is
getting
where
it.
things get interesting, because although people are still doing this in modern-day Georgia, it is believed that this tradition has been passed down through thousands of years, meaning that it is more likely than not that during the time of the story of the Great Fleece, people were using sheepskins to collect gold, literally creating their own golden fleece, leading some historians and experts to believe that this practice and this artifact wasn't just pure myth, and actually had a strong basis in, well, reality. And while this
I mean, isn't that all myths? Most myths have like a base in reality, but then are just like outlandish at many other parts. Because like the whole telephone game through history. I wonder what that's gonna be like now with the internet. Because there's literally not a telephone game through history. You just can look at everything. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of crazy.
artifact alone may be the only piece of fact from the mythology, it's still interesting to see that even some of the largest mythological stories still have a kernel of truth. And it's also cool to kind of imagine the first person
We get this. Cool. What's the last one?
down and then writing Star Wars, the Puakai. If you thought the United
The Puakai. The fuck is a Puakai?
United States had the biggest, strongest, and freest eagles, you would be sorely
I've
mistaken.
never heard of a
because New
puakai.
Zealand actually takes that record. The puakai is a mythological
What?
creature, and it's referred to as a monstrous bird in Maori mythology. The Maori people are believed to be some of the first people to have ever settled in New Zealand. And
So they're saying there was a giant fucking hawk that was just hawking down humans, bro. That's what I'm getting from this.
their history in New Zealand is
Why'd you gotta pick that picture? You make it look crazy, bro.
vast and runs deep. And an interesting part of their story in New Zealand is their mythology, specifically the puakai. You see, in Maori mythology, the puakai is a
Oh shit, is that a picture of one?
deep. And an interesting part of their story in New Zealand is their mythology, specifically the puakai.
Oh, bro, that thing deserves a fucking myth. That thing is scary as shit. What the fuck? That looks creepy as hell. It's bigger than an eagle? Like, what? Jesus.
You see, in Maori mythology, the puakai is a bird that is so massive and so strong that it could pick up and kill a man with ease. And for that
I bet you that happened because it picked up a small child at some point.
reason, this was a mythological creature that was terrifying, and definitely not something to mess with. It was typically seen or used as a cautionary tale, but also sometimes as a symbol of strength. It is believed
I'm not gonna lie, ever since they started talking about it, I've been imagining like a movie, right? And it's one of those movies where it's like there's natives, right? And then there's like people coming trying to take the land. And then he's like, you must, and then like the chieftain tells like his son or whatever, he's like, you must go find the great puakai for strength. And it's kind of like Avatar, honestly. I think I'm just imagining the plot of Avatar with the puakai instead.
that the Maori people arrived in New Zealand
Bro, I feel like the plot of Avatar works so well because it's such a basic plot with just crazy CGI. I feel like anyone could have thought of the plot of being like, you need to go find the legendary bird of strength and fly it into battle.
sometime around the 1400s. And from the 1400s to the mid-1700s, the Maori people remained uncontacted in New Zealand until they gained contact with European travelers in the late
Bro, why are all the Europeans in his like animations Amish? Why do they all have Amish hats?
1700s. Prior to the Maori's contact with the Europeans, they did not have a formal writing system, which means that they relied on oral storytelling to have some sort of record of their people's history, which is a big reason why they had so much lore and such cool stories. But obviously, when a majority of your historical records come from oral accounts, you're basically playing a big game of telephone, and it's hard to tell fact from fiction. And such is the case with the puakai. Because for many, the existence of the puakai seems, well, too crazy to be true, not only to the Europeans, but also to younger Maori generations. Regardless, that didn't stop the Maori people from continuing the traditions and telling the story of the puakai. But that doesn't mean that they never existed. Enter the Haast eagle. You see, the Haast eagle is an extinct species of eagle that lived specifically in New Zealand at the exact same place where the Maori people lived. Interestingly as well, the Haast eagle is also the largest known eagle to have ever...
Oh, so it is an eagle, but it's a different type of eagle. It's fucking huge. Bro, imagine that shit like expands its wings above you and suddenly there's like shadowing. Like, what the fuck is that? You look up, you see that thing. Nah, I'd be fucked up, bro. I'd be like, oh, I'd be looking for any tree, any type of cover. I'd be like, nah, that thing is not coming down here. Fuck that.
ever existed. And it's believed that they weighed anywhere from 22 to 40 pounds and preyed almost exclusively on a bird named moa, which is essentially just an extinct 500-pound variant of the modern-day ostrich. It's believed by researchers that the Haast eagle,
The dodo killer?
got to the size it did because it had no natural predators and had seemingly an endless amount of prey, allowing it to evolve and grow uninterrupted. That was until some people came to the island of New Zealand, specifically the Maori people. You see, it's believed that the Haast eagle officially went extinct in 1445, and experts say they went extinct because after the Maori people reached the island of New Zealand,
They ate all the motherfucking ostriches on the bird, didn't they?
only years prior, they were able to hunt the Mao bird to extinction.
They ate
Mao
all
bird
the
being
fucking
primary
birds.
Prey of the Haast eagle. It's not hard to understand how the Haast eagle went extinct after its entire food supply was shut off. And this
See, that's why the birds started hitting people. They were like, you killing my shit, I'm gonna have to on you, bro.
is really
I have
where
to,
things
bro.
get interesting. Because if you remember, The puukai, as described by the Maori people, is a large, monstrous bird that could easily pick up and kill a human man. And as we know, the Haast eagle lived in the same place as the Maori people for a short amount of time.
I mean, I feel like it is case closed. The Haast eagle was the puukai. Let's see what this final myth is, bro.
Familiar with the ozone layer.
Wait,
I would
what is-
assume, or at least hope that,
Wait, what
let's
is
move
it?
on to the final entry on this list.
Final entry.
Ancient ozone. I would assume, or at least hope that everybody watching
is
this video now
ancient
is
ozone?
familiar.
Does that mean like the whole theory of like there's a secondary, like the old ozone layers on the outside? I feel like that just makes sense. It's just gonna like, and then fade off.
With the ozone layer. The protective layer that is literally protecting everybody watching this video right now from the harmful radiation of the sun and space. And while the ozone layer is definitely the goat of protecting us from harmful space rays, it actually
Appreciate you,
existed
goat.
in mythology far before it existed.
Yo, let's all take a second and shout out the ozone layer. Appreciate you, goat. Sorry, niggas is frying you.
In the scientific world. You see, the ozone layer was officially discovered in 1913 by French physicists Charles Fabry and Henry Boyson, and that discovery was significant. But what if I told you that not just 100 years ago, but thousands of years ago, the concept of an ozone layer was already theorized and well established in the world of mythology?
Bro, it's so crazy because like ancient philosophers or like ancient scientists were just philosophers, to be honest, will have like would have crazy theories that were just so accurate for some reason. Like they would just somehow nail it on the fucking head.
Explain. Norse mythology, like Greek mythology, like Scandinavian mythology, runs deep. But one interesting part of Norse mythology I wanted to focus
But also, I guess if you guessed 1,000 times, like one of them's bound to be right.
in on is known as Fallen. And in Norse mythology,
Maybe not 1,000, but like 1,000,000 times. One of them is bound to be right.
Fallen is literally a legendary shield that stands in front of the Earth and the Sun, and its sole purpose is to protect the world from overheating. It's believed that the myth of Svalin dates back all the way to the Bronze Age. And interestingly, the word Svalin itself is actually a translation for the word cold or chill, meaning that Svalin was literally a chill guy. Jokes aside,
It shouldn't be that funny. It shouldn't be funny.
there's not much known about where this mythology actually stemmed from, although it's interesting how, well, accurate it actually was. Now, whether or not this Nordic mythology from the Bronze Age was actually onto something, or it was just, well, sheer coincidence, the similarities are glaring, which is why I wanted to add it for that reason. Because obviously the definition of Svalin is strictly mythical, the concept of what Svalin represents is definitely not myth, and very much so reality. And while it took until 1913 for physicists to discover the ozone layer, for Nordic storytellers, they were able to theorize the ozone layer with no proof before they ever even discovered iron. That's pretty cool. And that's also the end of this video.
It was a cool video. I'll drop a like. There's a couple parts that I didn't agree with the whole mythology as a standpoint, but fair enough. No, but like I said, if you want to go check out the original video, if you want to see the parts that I skipped over and everything like that, I'll try to remember to link it and everything. It was a cool video. I enjoyed it. Learned some cool stuff. It's one of those things where you realize like humans across time have been doing stuff like that's basically science related, and before they could explain it with science, they were just like, magic. Magic. Except for that gorilla bullshit. That was stupid. People were just like, I don't know if gorillas are real. When there's niggas on the other side of the planet that just living next to gorillas. Like, what are we talking about? That was weird shit. But as always, if you watch on YouTube, come check out the video. Come check out the stream sometime. I'm stuck at talking. Thank you guys for watching, and maybe drop a sub if you like the video. Thank you.